The goal is in the showing up, in doing the thing. I have a goal for this year to expand the podcast from solo to having conversations with people that I find interesting. But I cannot control that. That's not a goal. That is an outcome of something. Asking the question, what would it take for me to achieve, to get this outcome, to get interesting people to want to have conversations with me? What is going on, everybody? Thank you so much for tuning in on Stories and Status, episode 6. This is a show in which I explore what it's like to be human. I'm trying to be cozy because it's the beginning of the year. This is the first episode of the year, and I have been in, like everybody, in the mood of trying to reflect on last year. Where did I come short? What did I learn? How can I, take advantage of the things that I've learned 2024, which is a lot, to be honest, and apply them in my plans of 2025. While doing the reflections, I kept thinking about something that I would like to talk about in this episode, which is why set goals. I believe in goals. Don't get me wrong. I believe in goals. I believe in, setting things that you want to achieve and working towards something. I think it gives you a lot of motivation. Like you have a reason to wake up in the morning and go after the things that you go after. And goals that I've set in 2024 have been very helpful in getting me motivated to do things that are valuable. I set a goal to be healthy, to be in shape, and that helped me stay consistent. It's something that I'm very, very proud of, and I definitely want to continue that. But back to our point, which is why do it? Why set goals during this year? Like things that I find myself wanting to prioritize, working out. I want to stay in shape. I want to continue to eat healthy. I want to continue to go to the gym, lift heavy things. Hopefully next year I'll have well-defined muscles. At the end of the year, at least I'll look at me and feel that the work that I've put in is visible. It can be visibly, someone can visibly tell, which is not the case now. Unlike other people, I am not trying to, reduce my weight. I'm trying to add more weight. And as cheesy as it sounds, that is very, very difficult to do. I'm sure my fellow skinny people would understand. But if you're trying to lose weight, you probably wouldn't understand, or you wouldn't like me complaining about having less weight. But it is a challenge, and trying to add more weight and keep more weight, add muscles and keep it, insanely difficult. So, but at least, even if we take that as the goal, right? I'm trying to lose weight. I'm trying to add more weight. Or I want to add, I don't know, beginning of the year, I said I wanted to add at least, I think it was 30 to 50 pounds. And I did not manage to do that. At least it wasn't like consistent. I did at some point add weight, but then eating like enough protein is very difficult, and I'm trying to find ways to figure out how can I consistently eat more protein at the same time, making sure that the only thing I do is not eating when you're busy, when you're trying to, I don't know, go have a full-time job, I'm trying to do this on the side and a lot of other things on the side. It's being able to cook and prepare meals and stuff, like eat enough for me is like beyond enough. I should be bulking, right? But I don't do that. So I know what I need to do, but like how to actually do it is very, very difficult. But even if we take that as a goal, like I want to add 50 pounds. At the end, if we set that as a goal, at the end, if I'm not able to reach it, which is most likely, I will feel bad. I think I will feel bad. It will make me feel bad if I'm not able to achieve it. And I don't want to set goals that are only going to make me feel bad, right? And I say that with an understanding, because of an understanding that achieving our goals is super, super difficult. And that is something that I did not think about a lot when I was setting goals in the past years. I was only looking at this is what I want to achieve, but I did not look at this is what it's going to require. Like this is the work that needs to go in for me to achieve this thing that I want to achieve. By me setting the goal of 50 pounds, adding 50 pounds, I did not factor in the fact that I will have to eat more times than I normally do. And not thinking about the work that is going to go in sets me up for failure. And because I put that in my mind that I have to achieve that, if I don't achieve it, I don't beat myself up that much, but like it's still a disappointment, right? And that's just like one goal we're looking at. Financially, I set a goal that I wanted to hit, like how much money I wanted to earn in 2024. Did not achieve that as well. But I say this is how much money I want to achieve by the end of 2024. I did not say this is what I would need to do to achieve this money, right? And loading the goal in what you need to do, right? In the work that is going to take to achieve that thing. That thing is not a goal. It shouldn't be the goal. It's the outcome, but the goal should be, at least how I'm seeing it now, in doing the work, in figuring out, not looking at the outcome, because you cannot control the outcome. I cannot control. I don't like, because the reason why you can't control the outcome is because there's a lot of factors that I don't understand. Like I don't understand why I would not keep on weight. I'm sure like you can go to, there's a doctor somewhere in the world that I haven't seen that could tell me that if I eat the same amount of food with another person, the person is going to add 10 more pounds within 2 months, and I will have stayed the same or I don't know, went under. And so there's a lot of factors, like for that, physical factors, right? Biological factors, right? For the money goal, there's a lot of factors. Like life is not predictable. What I thought would help me make the amount of money that I said that I wanted to make did not exactly happen as I planned, right? And to avoid the disappointment, to avoid setting goals that are not in, like setting goals as things that are not in my control. Now I'm focusing on asking the question, what would it take? what would it take for me? What would it take for me to earn this amount of money? What would it take for me to be in this physical shape? What would it take for me to add 10 pounds or 20 pounds or 15 pounds or whatever? And what would it take for me to fall in love with a beautiful, gorgeous person that I feel, I build a life with, right? What would it take? What would it take to do this and this and this? And then walk back from it. What would it take, I think, is a question that I did not ask myself enough. And asking that question now have helped me, I think, set goals that I'm not sure I'm going to be able to achieve, but at least I will not be disappointed at the end of the year. Yeah, I felt like it was something very important to, one, reflect on myself, but also help anybody who might be setting goals. Just don't look at, this is the outcome that I want to achieve. Set the actions you need to take as the goals, I think. Setting the actions you need to take as the goals, I think, is the way to go. You can also easily measure that. You can look at, I went to this week, at the end of the week, you can sit down and say, I went to the gym twice a week, right? That's enough. Doesn't matter if you look in shape. Doesn't matter if you lifted the amount of weight that you wanted to lift. The goal is in the showing up, in doing the thing, right? I have a goal for this year to expand the podcast from solo to having conversations with people that I find interesting. That's an actual goal that I set for myself, right? But I cannot control that. That's not a goal. That is an outcome of something. For that, what would it take for that to be true? What would it take for me to have people on? Asking the question, what would it take for me to achieve, to get this outcome, to get interesting people to want to have conversations with me, puts it in context of what I need to do. What are the actions? What are the steps that I need to take for me to get the podcast to a point where someone would want to come and have a conversation with me? That can only happen if I keep doing it. That's number one. If I keep sitting down at the end of the week, looking at the things that I found interesting and talking about them. Looking at stories in my life, things that I'm struggling with, things that I did that I feel proud of, and talking about them. And then hopefully, the podcast, will get to a point where it's interesting enough. It is followed by, a big audience, that a person would feel that it's worth their time to come and have a conversation with me, right? I have a lot of things to learn about podcasting. I have a lot of being comfortable enough to talk about ideas in a way that is going to be useful for someone else. The podcast has to be useful first, right? For the audience, for people to find it interesting enough to follow it, to be returning audience members. Until that happens, people are not going to find it worth their time to come on the podcast, and obviously I understand that is what needs to happen, but do I know when that's going to be true? Heck no. I have no idea, right? Am I trying to do my best to show up? Am I trying to do my best to do interesting things, to have an interesting life, so that things that come out of me are going to be interesting? For sure, right? But it's by walking back from this is the outcome that I want, having conversations with people that I find interesting, and asking the question, what would it take for this to be true? Looking at the actions, right, that needs to be taken, and just an element of that I did not think about that, but I just think is a big part of it is patience. By setting a goal and saying, I want to have interesting conversations with people by November 2025. Okay, cool. Even if you go and ask, what would it take for me to achieve this? And you take the actions. The goal itself is not set with the patience that it's not rooted in reality, right? Good things, building something of value takes a long freaking time, because I understand how much of growing I need to do myself as the host of the podcast to be interesting enough for people, for a large number of people, to care about this podcast enough that other people would find it interesting and want to come on. I know how much work has to go in, because I've seen podcasts, that I follow, the biggest podcast in the world, did not become the biggest podcast in the world on the first day they launched, right? Unless the person launching them already had an audience and has already done amazing things, and people come from those things. Then Ronaldo launches a YouTube channel and millions and millions of people follow it. But if you're building the podcast like I'm building it, like literally I have no help. I'm doing this part-time. I have a full-time job. Blah, 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 blah. There's a lot of things that I'm doing on the side that takes my time. I know how much time it's going to take to get it to where maybe the outcome I would desire, right, to be. But in the moment, I have to be patient and just show up consistently. Focus on what I can control, right? Use the time, the little time that I have to prepare, to read books, to make myself interesting, so that when I sit here, I say something that is going to be useful for someone, and that someone is probably going to tell another person. And 2 years from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, at least hopefully, we will have built the podcast from where it is now, like the humble beginnings, to the point where I want to have conversations with, different people who have gone through different experiences, and then I can go to them and say, hey, I have this podcast. It has this many, people who listen consistently. I talk about these things. I want to learn how to be, a great father. You are a great father. Could you, come on the podcast and we have a conversation? Hopefully that's going to help a lot more people. And that would not happen in a day, right? Unless if I want to have on my friends, which I would, and hopefully they wouldn't say no because of how small the audience is. But my point being, obsessing over goals and setting goals that are beyond reach. It's important to dream. I dream. I live in the crowds. I do. But it's important to differentiate dreams, things that one day, hopefully, you want to achieve, and things that you're setting this year that you want to achieve, right? And for me, I think looking at the actions, things that you actually need to do, aligning the outcomes that you want and the actions that are needed to achieve those outcomes is, I think, very, very important. And by the way, like, I might sound stupid because you're like, duh, if you set a goal, you're going to go back and look at what you need to do and whatnot. But flipping the switch, for me, taking the spotlight from the goal and putting the spotlight to what I think is the actual goal, should be the actual goal, which is the things you need to do, and putting the emphasis on that, I think is the switch that I'm talking about. And I don't know if it's making sense, but we have a goal, the outcome. I don't know if it's even like the same thing, but you have something you want to happen. Okay, for me, having conversations with people that I find interesting, being in great shape, and that's vague enough too. Like I need to bring it down to something that is tangible. But for this case, being in great shape, right? I want at the end of the year, at least, right, as an outcome, what I want to be true is to be in a great relationship. That's one of the things that I also have as an outcome, as something that I'm looking forward to, that I want to be true, right? So if we take those three things, and we didn't talk about the financial side of things, but I also have things that I want to be true there. But taking the spotlight from the heart, smart, kind, humble person that I want to be in a relationship with, taking the spotlight from what the hell did I say? From having interesting conversations with the people that, having conversations with the people that I find interesting, making this much money, taking the spotlight from that to being, okay, what would I need to do for it to be possible for me to be in a relationship with this type of girl that I want? What would need to be true for me to make this much money? What would I need to do? What are some of businesses that I need to pursue among the things that I'm doing now, right? What projects have the potential to help me make money, help me make enough money that would lead me to making the money that I set as a goal, and bringing the spotlight from there to here is so important, because the alignment for me at least is what has been a big challenge in the past years. It's me saying that I want to do this, that I want to achieve this, but then ending up pursuing. If you are like an outsider looking in, the things that I would say that I wanted to achieve, as in like I set as a goal, and the things that I was doing, was not going to lead me to achieving the goals. Why? Because I only thought about the thing that I want to achieve. I didn't think about the goal wasn't to do the things, right? The goal wasn't to show up every day. To show up every week and recording the podcast. That's the goal for me now, right? Doesn't matter what happens at the end of the year, doesn't matter if I have this much subscribers, doesn't matter if I was able to achieve to have a conversation with a person that I find interesting. Did I show up every single week and recorded a podcast, right? Doesn't matter if it's good too, right? Doing the thing is the goal. Did I sit down and recorded a podcast? And if it's shit this week, next week it might be better, right? And by setting that as the goal, I think it sets the foundation for other things, the things that you don't control, to be true. But it's important to take the spotlight and put it on the actual things that I need to do instead of the outcomes, because I cannot control the outcomes, but I can control coming here every single week and doing the best that I can to share something that can be useful or can motivate someone or can relate to someone. It doesn't have to motivate them too, just relate to them. Yeah, so I hope that was useful. I think I was all over the place, but I found that to be very, very helpful for me, at least when I was setting goals this year. And I might think differently at the end of the year, but I don't know, I also feel a little bit lighter, as in like at the beginning of the year 2024, at least when I was setting these goals, it felt like, oh my God, like look at this bridge that I need to, this gap that I need to bridge, right? Meaning like how far away it was for me to reach the goals that I had set for myself. Specifically the money goal that I had set for myself. And it felt so big and so overwhelming that at the end of the day, I end up this is me making excuses for myself, but I end up not doing the things that I needed to do to make the amount of money that I had set for myself. But by putting the actual things that I need to do as the goals, you also make it a little bit less intimidating, right? All of a sudden it's something that you can do. It's achievable, right? It's not this grand thing that you've never heard before. It's in, just applying for 2 jobs per week. Like if you set that as a goal, applying for a job twice a week, right? Every week you apply for 2 jobs. And if you set that as a goal, at the end of the year, you will have a job. I can almost guarantee that you will have a job, right? A job that ends up making you the amount of money that you want to make. And if you set the goal as just going on dates, right? Focus on going on as many dates and meeting as many people as possible and making your intention clear. I think that would help you, at least would help you make a connection with someone. And that's my hypothesis anyway this year. It's just focusing on what is the work, what do I need to do, what would it take for me to achieve that outcome, and forgetting about the outcome for a moment and just focus on that. And we'll see how that turns out to work. It might not work, it might work, but I think at least I won't be feeling bad about myself if I had done the work, because doing the work is also really, really difficult. Cool. This was all over the place. I don't know if it's been any useful, but Happy New Year, good luck, and yeah, I'll see you next week. Peace.